My name is Shariana Heller, and
Hello,
I'm
Shari.
searching into your career field of human resources, which is why I decided to interview today.
Okay.
And can you state your name for the record?
My name's John Morris.
And I would like to ask you some questions today about information regarding your position,
Okay.
your education, and some of the experiences you've had working in this department.
Okay.
I hope to use this information to learn more about working in the Human Resources Department, and this interview should only take about 10 minutes. Are you able to respond to some questions at this time?
Yes, I can.
All right. So to begin, I just want to ask some general questions about your job so we can get an idea of what it actually is.
Okay.
So what is your official title?
So my title is Human Resource Manager.
And can you give me an idea of a few things that you do as a human resources manager?
Do hiring, set up hiring for the production floor, stuff like that. Do disciplinary actions, write-ups, that kind of stuff. Legal, if there's stuff with attorneys, I'm usually the one, for getting sued or whatever the case may be. I do that stuff. FMLA, workers' comp, somebody gets injured, I deal with all that stuff. I could go on and on. But
All right. So human resources is a very people-oriented position
yes.
based on how you described it. So how do you think that has helped you grow as a person?
How's it helped me?
Yes.
I would say I tend to be kind of shy, and when I got into this job, I hate using the phone. I do all that kind of stuff that I can't stand. It's forced me to help me grow as a person. It's forced me to overcome a lot of that. Otherwise, I wouldn't be able to do this job. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does.
Okay.
Surprisingly, I got exactly where you're coming from there. As a human resources manager, what would you consider your management style?
So for the people that work for me directly, so I have 3 of them. I'm kind of a hands-off kind of manager. I don't micromanage. As long as they're getting their job done, which is really what I care about.
Right.
I try to, I'm not going to say leave them alone, but I'm not the type that's going to be standing over your shoulder all the time to make sure you're getting the stuff done. I trust you. And until you give me a reason not to trust you, I will keep trusting you.
Great.
Does that make sense too?
It does.
Okay.
And as a manager, how do you push for better results? You said you don't micromanage, so
That is correct.
how do you do that?
I don't know that I push. I'm more into the, giving them positive feedback, saying thank you, letting them know that I appreciate what they do, and, hopefully that they'll make them want to work for me.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? As opposed to them, I don't want disgruntled employees in who are upset. HR is upsetting enough.
Right.
So, I'm like I said, I don't do a lot of standing over it. But if they make a mistake or whatever, if there's problems, I will let them know. But I'm more of the smooth kind of instead of the.
All right. And how do you think your role helps to keep up with business success generally in the plant altogether?
So I guess this question's asking you, what does my function do that helps the overall success of the business?
Correct.
Is that basically the gist of it? So one of the things is, you got to keep people hired. You got to keep the floor staffed. When you don't, then you work overtime, cause morale problems, but it also makes us spend more money because we're spending overtime. I will say this year, the last 2 years, that has been a very difficult thing to do because the job market's such that there's 8 million jobs out there. So
Right.
So I'm not getting a lot of applications in. So this year that's been tough. So that's one of the things. And you just try to keep morale up, try to keep the employees happy. So hopefully they don't quit. Right. Now, mind you, they work in a factory. Not everybody's going to like it, but you try to do the best you can to make them want to stay here with the parameters you're given. So that's probably, in the safety part of it also, People don't usually think of safety as being part of the business thing, but if people are getting hurt, then they're not here.
Right.
And so that hurts us. And also, you know, you got to pay the claims and all this kind of stuff. So you work on safety things and stuff like that. That's just two things that pop into my head real quick. So.
And going off of what you said about hiring and keeping the floor staffed, what are some of your hiring strategies? Like, how do you pick who to hire and who not to?
Well, when I do the hiring here, I usually do most of the hiring for the production floor. And when you're hiring for entry level positions, I I don't have to be overly strict with the people that I'm hiring. Okay. You want to make sure you have people that you think can do the job. And I'm a pretty easy interview. When it comes to the higher up, like salary positions that we had an interview, I do the research, I post the ads, I get the resumes in, and I search through them. But generally speaking, our managers, I give them the information, and they're the ones that do the interview and stuff because they know what they want. I don't necessarily know what they want. Now, sometimes one of them will ask me to sit in, and I'll ask some questions too, and sometimes they do it on their own. Um, but most of mine's production floor people, and we have assembly, molding, and extrusion, and you interview them, and you just can they do the job? What job do you think they could do? I don't ask a lot of questions. I look at their work history and stuff like that. But if they have some work history that's appropriate, then I'll ask questions going that route. I don't know. My interview style is pretty basic for what I do.
All right. And now I want to ask you some questions about you and
Okay.
when you joined the company.
Okay.
So first thing I want to know is how long have you worked for Elliott Miller?
29 years.
Ooh, that's a long time.
That's a long time.
In this time frame, how long have you actually worked in human resources?
I got this job in November 2013, so that puts me almost 6 years.
And how would you say this job has changed over the 6 years that you've been in just this position?
Ooh, in the 6 years, I don't know. I could see how it's changed over the years, just because things are different now. As in, you more got to be careful what people say. There's things you deal with as far as that goes that they probably didn't have to deal with 20 years ago.
Right.
You know what I mean? But since I've been in this position, that's kind of been the way it is. So I think it's gotten more difficult, I would say, probably even in the last 6 years. It's just worrying about the social things. And social media, now that it pops into my head, goes along with that, because you're dealing with people that post things. And then it comes in here and you got two employees bickering and they come and complain to me about it. And somehow it becomes my problem. And it's like, it's not even here. And people are offended more easily than they were years and years and years ago. Whether that's right or wrong, I'm not making that argument. But I think those kind of things have probably made it more difficult.
All right. And we'll keep that one short. So now I want to ask you about some of your education.
Okay.
Do you have a degree?
Yes, I do.
And what is that degree in?
I'm a finance major.
Really? That's interesting. Did not know that. And how do you think, if that degree has helped you in this position?
Probably not at all. I will be perfectly honest with you. Because I graduated from college in 1990.
Okay.
And I got this job in 2013. So tell me how much you think that degree has helped me in this job. It hasn't.
Not at all.
What I would say that it's done, it's opened a lot of doors for me in this company, because I started out on the production floor. And having that degree has helped me move up. But as far as how it prepared me for this,
not even slightly.
Nope.
So, with that being said, you consider most of your learning being in the field instead of...
It's basically on the job learning. It's basically what it was.
So, would you recommend someone get a degree related to the actual field before taking on a human resources position?
Would I recommend it? Yes. Would I say it's 100% necessary? depends on your work history. Okay. The one person that works for me, Heather, um, she's been in HR for several years now. She doesn't have a degree. If I would get hit by a bus tomorrow, do I think she could probably do this job? Yes. Would I think her having a degree would help her and probably give her a better chance of actually getting the job? Yes.
So they go either way.
Yes.
All right. So moving on, because we're getting close to our end here.
Okay.
We're going to talk about some of the experiences you have, because human resources is a big job.
Yes.
So what are some of the best experiences you've had being in this position?
Oh, my goodness. See, this is where I don't want to make the job sound negative, because it's easy. You always remember the bad things. You never remember the good things. You know how that goes. But, when you hire, some of the things that just make you feel kind of good, when you hire somebody that you're not sure they're going to make it, they end up succeeding, that makes you feel good. If you're helping somebody that you hire that's been down on their luck and they come here and they make it, those kind of things make you feel good. Somebody's needing help with something, and as an employer, you can help them get their way through, whether it's something as simple as just, giving them a leave of absence or something. And they appreciate it. And when people say thank you, it's not any different when a boss says thank you to you.
Right.
You like to hear somebody say thank you for working with me, blah, 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 blah. Those guys are the kind of things that make you feel good.
All right. And let's go on the other end of that. What are some of the hardest things about this job?
The hardest things, obviously, is when you got to fire somebody. That's the most difficult. And some of the times, you'll get the mindset, the person knew it was coming. They didn't do what they were supposed to do. So this is on them.
Right.
Those ones you still don't want somebody to be without livelihood. But it's the ones that, because I got a couple in mind that I'm not going to go into the details.
Right.
It was very dreadful for me to let them go because of circumstances. But it had to be done. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And those are very hard. And, when you're writing people up, I don't know. Sometimes I think people think we enjoy doing that. I hate doing.
I hope not.
I hate doing that. Those are the hardest things, when you're dealing with people, because you hear in this job, you hear a lot about people's lives. You know when they're sick. You know when their parents are sick. You know when their family members passes away. You hear all that stuff. So it's a lot of stuff that could bring you down. But those are the hard things.
Yeah, some stuff. I don't think I could do it personally. And how would you describe your experience with fellow co-workers, not even just people under you, but all around in the office?
In the office, for the most part, and it's one of the things I like about working here, everybody in the office up here, for the most part, we get along. Do we have our disagreements? Yes. Do we argue sometimes? Yes. But everybody up here is pretty good. You understand it's all part of the job, and you have your argument and you get ticked off at each other. But the next day you come back to work and everything's fine. So that's at least that's a good thing. Nobody up here holds grudges, so you don't have to deal with that stuff.
That's good.
Yes.
And last question. How do you collaborate with those fellow coworkers, especially in other departments?
So the biggest one is obviously the production manager, because he has the most people working for him, and it's all the production people and whatever that stuff. So in our offices are right next to each other for a reason.
Kyle, Bill, call 2480. Kyle 2480.
We do a lot of the talking about the disciplinary, and if I'm thinking about sometimes hiring somebody that I'm questioning whether they might be right for a certain position, I'll go run it by him. But I deal with the quality manager, same thing, because he has people working with him and stuff like that. Engineering, not so much. That's usually basically when they need to hire somebody and they say, find me some applicants. And the plant managers in here a lot, how you doing on hiring? We're working overtime. Why did this happen? Why did that happen? How much overtime we worked last week? All those kind of things. But the one I work with the most, production manager by far.
Well, John Morris, I appreciate the time you took to do this interview. Is there anything else that you think would be helpful for me to know?
I don't know. I pretty much summed it all up. It's just, HR can have its difficulties. We'll just leave it at that.
Well, with that considered, I'm pretty sure I have all the information I need.
Okay.
Should there be anything else I need to know, would I be able to email you?
Yes, for sure.
Well, thank you again for taking time to talk to me today.
No problem.
All right.